There are plenty of cases of famous artists turning out to be someone far different than the public believed them to be, but there are few more vile than this one. Once a beloved figure in the music industry, his story is one of immense talent overshadowed by scandal, crime, and a legacy forever tarnished. Today, we explore the rise and fall of a glam rock icon turned horrific monster and international fugitive. This is the story of Garry Glitter. Once a shining icon of the glam rock era in the UK, Garry Glitter fell from grace in the worst possible way. After years in the spotlight, a temporary setback, and an ultimate career rebound, Garry Glitter was on his way back to major stardom. Yet, despite his success, Glitter was hiding a dark and shocking secret. After his sexual crimes against minors were exposed, Garry Glitter attempted to evade the public eye, but he never changed his ways. A man who was once praised by millions for his music turned out to be an unapologetic and irredeemable predator. Today, we will take a deep dive into the life, career, and crimes of Garry Glitter to uncover the truth of this monster. Born Paul Francis Gadd on May 8, 1944 in Oxfordshire, England, Garry Glitter's early life was far from glamorous. Raised by a single mother and grandmother, Paul's early childhood was full of instability. When Paul and his brother became difficult for their mother to handle, they were sent to alternative care. Paul attended a Catholic school, and he often ran away to visit the nightclubs in London. It was these same clubs where Paul would begin his musical career. By age 15, Paul had released his first single under his stage name, Paul Raven. He began performing in nightclubs around London, where he took every opportunity to network with producers and others in the music industry. Paul was able to secure several commercial appearances, produce several singles, and perform with a television band. Following this, he formed a small music group with a saxophonist he knew and spent 5 years touring the UK and Germany. Despite getting his career off to an early start, fortune and fame evaded him, and he was unable to find a niche for his music. But that all changed in the early 1970s. Around 1971, the glam rock era was on the rise in the UK. Seizing his opportunity for a big break, Paul adopted the stage name of Garry Glitter. He fully committed himself to the glam rock image, amassing over 20 bedazzled suits and numerous pairs of shiny platform boots. In 1972, his hit single, Rock and Roll Parts 1 and 2, catapulted him to overnight fame, topping charts in the UK and around the globe. Garry became a literal shining star of the early 70s, known far and wide for his sparkling outfits and bold performances. For several successive years, Garry Glitter saw continued success in the UK charts. With hits such as I'm the Leader of the Gang, I Am, and Do You Wanna Touch Me, Oh Yeah, Garry became one of the most iconic faces in glam rock. In 1975, Garry was awarded Best Male Artist by the Saturday Scene Music Awards. However, as the glam rock era faded, so did Glitter's fame. In 1976, after his record sales had declined drastically, Garry filed for bankruptcy and declared his retirement from music. He spent the next few years living abroad, eventually returning to the UK and beginning his career as a stage performer. Though Garry Glitter had found himself a modest niche following as a performer, it was nothing compared to the fame and success of the 1970s. Then, Through numerous collaborations and features, Garry's popularity saw a revival. Thanks to these collaborations, Garry was able to record new music and re-release new versions of his former hits. Once again, Garry Glitter had made the charts, propelling himself back to fame. In 1994, Glitter performed at the FIFA World Cup in Chicago, which led to multiple US tours and what was planned to be an extended tour in the UK. However, it was not his music or his renewed popularity that cemented Garry Glitter's place in history. In 1997, an accidental discovery in a Bristol computer shop would change the course of Glitter's life forever. The pop star had left his laptop at the shop to be repaired, and while working on the device, a technician unearthed a dark and vile secret. Garry Glitter's hard drive contained an extensive collection of pornographic images of minors. The technician immediately reported this horrific discovery to police, who promptly arrested Glitter. Upon searching his 2 UK residences, thousands more images were uncovered. He admitted to having downloaded more than 4,000 images, which earned him a spot on a new type of chart, the National Sex Offender Registry. There was speculation that Glitter had also engaged in a sexual relationship with a 14-year-old girl, but he was acquitted of those charges. Glitter was tried and sentenced to 4 months in prison for possession of child pornography in 1999. After being released in 2000, Glitter tried to flee from the public eye. He took his yacht and lived in Spain for a time, until the locals discovered the truth of his identity. Glitter briefly escaped to Cuba and then Cambodia before finally settling in Vietnam. He rented a villa near the ocean in Vietnam, and it was here that he continued his legacy of disgusting and depraved crimes against young and innocent girls. In 2005, authorities in Vietnam had been made aware of Glitter's unwelcome advances on a teenage waitress in a nightclub. Neighbors reported seeing Glitter bringing 2 young girls into his home. Just before authorities raided his villa, Glitter fled his home to evade another capture. When they searched his property, police found a teenage girl living there. Eventually, a few days later, they captured Glitter at the airport, where he was attempting to flee to Thailand. An extensive investigation was conducted. Initially, with testimony of 6 young women and girls, police attempted to charge Glitter with the rape of a 10-year-old girl. This sentence would carry the potential of execution by firing squad under Vietnam's laws, but the police were not able to carry that charge due to lack of evidence. Ultimately, Glitter was tried and convicted of having committed obscene acts with underage women. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, and upon finishing his sentence, Glitter would be immediately deported. Throughout the process, Glitter maintained his innocence, insisting he'd been set up by the British tabloids. During his sentence in Vietnam, Glitter had multiple health issues. After being diagnosed with high blood pressure and an irregular heartbeat, Glitter suffered a heart attack, but he was brought for treatment and survived. British authorities visited him in the hospital, eager to bring him back to the UK and under their control. The British government urged nations around the world to ban Glitter from entry. In August of 2008, Glitter was released from prison and escorted to the airport for his deportation. His first flight would take him to Bangkok, and the second would bring him back to where it all began in London. When Glitter arrived in Thailand, he faked health concerns and refused to board the plane to London. A doctor examined Glitter and deemed he was fit to make the trip, but Glitter refused to leave. Police officers sent from the UK had no jurisdiction in Thailand to force Glitter to board the plane. However, Thailand banned him from entering the country, and their immigration officials told Glitter that if he did not leave voluntarily, he'd be arrested and deported back to the UK. Glitter made one last attempt to flee, flying to Hong Kong and faking another heart attack, but officials in Hong Kong weren't playing into his pity party. They banned Glitter from entry, and on August 22nd, Glitter returned to London. Immediately upon arrival, Glitter was given a lifetime place on the National Sex Offender Registry. Unfortunately, Garry Glitter's story does not end here. In 2012, a documentary exposing Jimmy Savile aired, and within the documentary, allegations were made against Glitter. Police investigated the claims, and in 2015, Glitter was sentenced on numerous counts, which included assault and attempted rape against girls aged 10 to 13. He was found guilty of these offenses and sentenced to 16 years in prison. However, in 2023, Garry was released from prison having only served half his sentence. Because the convictions were pertaining to crimes committed in the 1970s, the statutes for historic offenses being changed in the UK allowed Glitter to be released. A few weeks after his release, Glitter found himself back in prison. The crime was the exact same as the one that originally landed him behind bars. Glitter had been viewing and downloading pornographic images of children. In 2024, Glitter's case was heard before the National Parole Board. They noted that Glitter still denies any wrongdoing, along with the fact that he'd made no attempt to address his offending during or after his incarceration. Thankfully, the parole board decided to keep Glitter locked up where he belongs, and he will remain in prison until 2031. What could have been an inspiring story of a young boy who came from nothing and found his name in lights turned into a sickening tale of an evil and predatory monster who used his fame and fortune to commit unspeakable acts against innocent lives. Despite his success in music and his determination to keep going when the odds were against him, Glitter's reputation has been irreparably tarnished by his vile actions. Some celebrities break under the pressures of fortune and fame, but Garry Glitter's case goes far beyond that. He is the worst kind of monster, one that repeatedly engages in unspeakably evil behavior and yet denies any wrongdoing. While many people might say their favorite artist has changed their lives, Garry Glitter permanently scarred the lives of many young women and girls. His victims, some as young as 10, should never have been subjected to the repulsive and horrific acts that Garry forced upon them. Garry Glitter's story serves as a reminder that not all that glitters is gold, and it shall remain as yet another tale from the underworld. To anyone who may be struggling with a sexually abusive or predatory situation, there is help. In the U.S., you can call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE. To the victims of Garry Glitter, or any victims of such a monster, you are not alone, and it is not your fault. Thanks for listening to Tales from the Underworld. If you're fascinated by the stories we uncover, make sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. For even more exclusive content, head over to our website at talesfromtheunderworld.com and subscribe to our newsletter. You'll get insider access to deeper case details, early updates on new episodes, and more true crime content sent straight to your inbox. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay out of the shadows.